Hello, everyone. A very logical day to all of you. Here we are with the first editorial of May 18, the Indian Express. Let's see what we have in store today. A smarter code. Good. This is such a title that we won't be able to understand what the content of the passage would be, right? So we'll be able to come to this only when we are reading the passage. We have read the passage and then we can see whether this can be an appropriate title or no. So the shift to the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code in 2016 was a step towards reconfiguring the credit culture in the country by providing for a time-bound resolution process that tried to move the balance of power in favor of creditors. Now, what we are talking about, if we identify the subject of that sentence, it would be we are talking about the shift. So, shift to the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code in 2016 was a step towards reconfiguring. You can understand the word configure, यानी फिर से figure बना लेना, ठीक है? That is it. Re means again. So configuring the credit culture in the country by providing, by means how you're going to do it, by providing for a time-bound resolution process that tried to move the balance of power in favor of creditors. However, the data that is frequently put out by the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India suggests the data suggests that the outcomes under this resolution framework have been less favorable than expected. Outcomes have been less favorable than expected. For instance, the time taken for resolving the cases generally tends to exceed the timelines originally envisaged, and the realizations of creditors, both financial and operational, have been lower than expectations, so less favorable than expected. मतलब ये example. So first paragraph, the major point will be, it suggests the outcomes. Outcomes are less than expected. ये रहा इसका point, right? If I go to the next part, here it is. We'll remove this and see. We are talking about the shift, right? Now this shift is coming up with the credit culture in the country. It is being configured again, right? And what does this suggest? It suggests that the outcomes have been less favorable than expected. ये उसका suggestion है. उसके बाद instance मतलब example. How have the outcomes been less favorable? उसका एक example दे दिया, right? So here we have this shift in the credit culture, right? The data, however करके इसमें change आ जाता है. This data suggests that the outcomes have been less favorable. Clear? Now, at the end of March, 6571 cases had been so far admitted under this framework, considering that around half of these proceedings were initiated by operational creditors. This does suggest that the code has been able to serve as a powerful instrument for these firms. Right now, we are coming up with the code. So, the cases had been so far admitted under this framework. Now, around half of these proceedings were initiated by the operational creditors. This does suggest that the code has been able to serve as a powerful instrument for these firms, which are typically small and medium enterprises, to try to recover their dues from the larger companies. ये रहा उनका काम. Of these 4515 cases, मतलब it is giving us a data, कितने cases हैं, कितने resolve हो गए. 4515 cases have been closed, while proceedings are ongoing in the remaining. And of the cases closed, a staggering 45% have ended up in liquidation, while the rest of them have been either resolved, withdrawn, or appealed. In the cases where the process has yielded resolution plans, realizations of creditors have been low. Of the total admitted claims of creditors estimated at so much so, lakh crore in these cases, the total realizable value was only 2.87. इसका मतलब ये जो है realization of creditors have been due का data दे दिया उन्होंने. This works out to only 31.8%. Now you can see that this part of the passage is giving you the data. Then there are the delays in the process to contend with of the cases that are currently going through resolution proceedings. Almost two-thirds have crossed the 270-day deadline, and in the cases currently undergoing liquidation, तो ये लेवल्स होते जा रहे हैं अलग अलग. एक रेजोल्यूशन, एक लिक्विडेशन. They have been going on for more than 2 years, and such delays beyond the prescribed timelines are unfortunate as they lead to further destruction of the assets. ये रहा author का major point in the second paragraph, that in such cases, if there are delays going on, they are going to be unfortunate, or they are going to bring further destruction in the value of the assets, right? So this becomes a main point. What is given in this part of the paragraph is the data to establish what? That they have ended up, so much have been the cases, right? These many cases have been closed. This much percent has ended up in liquidation, right? Some are being resolved, some are being withdrawn, or some are being appealed on. तो रेजोल्यूशन, रियलाइजेशन, ये सब, तो ये सारी चीजें कम होती जा रही हैं धीरे धीरे. एट द एंड उसने बोला कि अगर इतनी डीलेस होती हैं, जो डेडलाइन दिया है, डेडलाइन के बाद भी अगर वो केस चल रहा है, सॉल्व नहीं हुआ है, तो दिस इज गोइंग टू कम अप विद अ फर्दर डिस्ट्रक्शन इन द वैल्यू ऑफ द एसेट्स, राइट? Over the years, in attempts to improve the functioning and effectiveness of the resolution framework, various changes have been brought in the code. Over the years, मतलब अब आ गया उसका comparison, क्योंकि हमें अगर याद है तो heading था smarter code, right? So that means you are comparing now. So changes have been brought. In 2021, the government also brought in amendments to introduce a pre-packaged insolvency resolution process for MSMEs. This framework provides the space for a direct agreement between the firm's owners and its financial creditors, with the debtor remaining in control during the process. However, despite its appeal, this framework has not gained much traction. Matlab, it has not pulled many people here. So various stakeholders do not seem to have considered this route an attractive proposition in the case of MSMEs. So when you are unable to understand this word traction, you can understand it from the next sentence where they say that the stakeholders do not seem to have considered this route. मतलब ये उस route पे नहीं गए. मतलब ट्रैक्शन का मतलब अट्रैक्शन से कर सकते हैं ना, इट इज पुलिंग. सो दिस रूट एंड अट्रैक्टिव, हियर इट इज an attractive proposition in the case of MSMEs. As per IBBI data, only 4 applications have been admitted under this framework as on March 2023, one of which has been withdrawn. As more changes to the IBC are in the offing, more changes, मतलब ये कुछ changes तो हुए हैं, यहां से वो more changes पे भी आता है, मतलब और भी होने वाले हैं. If there are more changes that are going to happen, that means the meaning of in the offing is clear. It is going to happen in the near future. The government is likely to introduce further amendments. See, they talked about amendments here. They are talking about amendments here. Perhaps in the monsoon session of Parliament, the guiding principle should be to cut down the delays. Should be means it is trying to give us it is giving us a suggestion or an opinion कि क्या होना चाहिए. तो उसे फर्स्ट सेकंड पैराग्राफ में कहा था कि there are so many delays going on which should not happen. Why? Because they are going to cause utter destruction, right? As a solution, they say now that what should happen, the guiding principle should be to cut down the delays in the process, ensure smooth functioning, and increase the efficiency and effectiveness of the code. So these are 3 things that the author says that this should be worked upon. ये होना चाहिए. ठीक है, तो बैंक्रप्सी कोड है, इसमें उन्होंने क्रेडिटर्स और डेटर्स और एमएसएमईज की बात कर ली है. नाउ द पॉइंट हियर इज, we don't have many words here. We come up with the basic meaning first, basic idea, main idea. As cases continue to stretch under IBC, हमने देखे थे कि 6575 या कुछ ऐसे cases थे. So as many cases were there that only this many have been resolved, right? 4, 5 something it was. So we get the data here, we get the number here, but they continue to stretch. That is why only this many have been resolved, right? Some are there in the appealing, some are there in the resolving. तो ये सब जो delay है, ये delay चल रहा है. So they continue to stretch under IBC. Realizations remain low. He had mentioned in the second paragraph that this is changes are needed. Third paragraph. So this comes up in the third paragraph, right? This comes up, this low realizations comes in the second paragraph. I am not writing the Roman figure now. This is the third paragraph. This is in the second, and this was in the first paragraph. Right? So all these three major points combined together give you the main idea of the passage. Clear? Now, what do we have for vocabulary is, again, if you might have guessed, maybe few words, but yes, few words to be reading on. इसमें से अब हम क्या पढ़ेंगे वो देखते हैं. Reconfiguring, हमारे पास reconstruct आ गया, rearrange आ गया, modify. So that was a smarter code. It was being modified. The amendments were being made, right? ये हम समझ सकते हैं जब हमारे पास टाइटल बेस्ड क्वेश्चन आएगा, क्योंकि मॉडिफिकेशन वहां पे दिया था, अमेंडमेंट्स दिया था, that more changes are being made and amendments are being made, right? So we get these two. That means we can understand now it is going to become a better one. So smarter code, we can come up with the title. Envisage में we have the word viz, and viz means to see. So envisage means to see into the future. ठीक है कि what will happen in the future, what is going to happen in the future, वो that is envisioning. तो vision word आ जाता है विज के साथ, vision, visual. Staggering, staggered at something means surprised, stupefying. क्या staggering growth, ऐसा ऐसा कैसे हो रही, मतलब ऐसा हो सकता है क्या, वो वाला जब एक thought आ जाता है, that is staggering. Traction, as I said, you can relate this to attract. So we have the root word here, attraction वाला. Tract is to pull. है ना, ट्रैक्टर होता है, पुल करता है, अट्रैक्शन होता है, right? So you can understand the word traction also. In the offing is something that is going to happen soon. Now these are the words efficiency and effectiveness. No need to explain here. Efficiency, all of you know that if you are good at your work, you can efficiently do it. ठीक है? Efficiently यानी proficient. कोई भी काम अच्छे से करना, CIENT. क्यों? क्योंकि तुमने या तो वो बहुत बार कर रखा है, या तो you know how well to do it. So you are proficient in that work, right? That is efficiency. Effectiveness, whatever you are doing, does it have a positive effect on it? What you intend getting as a result, अगर वो हो जाता है, तो then it is an effective method, right? You can come up with many strategies of understanding the words. The point here is that the tricks that I give you, if you are able to use them, so that means those tricks are effective. I might be efficient in doing this, or there might be others who are efficient in doing so many works, right? But are those things having the desired effect? If yes, then it is efficient plus effective, right? So insolvency and bankruptcy, now this is what you need to read on. Insolvency, bankruptcy, small and medium enterprises, that is MSMEs, इसमें थोड़ा सा पढ़ लेना. लिक्विडेशन, तुमको पता होगा लिक्विडेशन क्या होता है, लेकिन एक वन लाइनर्स में पता होगा. रीड अबाउट इट अ लिटिल. फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर्स कौन होते हैं, डेटर्स कौन होते हैं. इवन दोज हु आर परसुइंग कॉमर्स, you will know these things. Those who are coming up with economics or business studies, if you're interested in all these things, you might know these things. I would suggest still read a little on these topics, right? You'll be able to brush those things up. और एटलीस्ट ये इन चीजों के बारे में जब आप पढ़ोगे तो धीरे धीरे इसके साथ कुछ और वर्ड्स मिल जाएंगे तुम्हें, right? So that any business related vocabulary or terminology or economics related terminology, if you come across those words, note them down again and start reading on that also. That is the whole idea, right? So read a little on each topic. And yes, I know there are quite a few who do read when I tell them to, right? And those who do not read, I would suggest they kindly start reading. And that's all for today. Thank you and see you tomorrow. Have a very logical day ahead.